Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy London VK Alucard. I want to welcome y'all to React with Alucard. We're going to be doing a reaction to Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2 Dev Diary Recap 1. Let's get it.
Hello everyone, I'm Josh, the community manager for the Chinese Room, and today we're doing a quick Q&A with the developers who are working on Bloodlines 2. They're hard at work, but I've grabbed some of their precious time to answer your questions and to go into depth on some of the details of the things that they've written in their developer diaries. Let's start with you, Alex. You did the first dev diary. Do you want to kind of sum up what your thoughts were? And I guess on the pillars of the game was quite an important part of yours.
Yes, well, and also, because it was the first, it was announcing that the Chinese Room were the developers behind the game. So the Chinese Room were bringing their already strong expertise in storytelling, but also, we're making an action RPG, which got a lot of people's attention.
That's something we've done.
That's a lot of my background is working on action RPGs, and then in the post I then talk about the game pillars, and the main one I talk about in the post is feel like a vampire. So that's our first pillar, that's our primary pillar. So every decision we make, whether it be art, gameplay, audio, always we ask ourselves, is this the thing that'll make us feel most like a vampire? If you've got a bunch of options, the way to decide is to go, well, which makes me feel the most? So the second pillar is visceral immersive combat, which if you've watched the Bloodlines 2 trailer, you'll see it's quite visceral. There is, at one point, a man gets his head squished all the way through. And then the third is exploring the world of darkness, so talking about this setting and world. So that's where we wanted to plant our flag. That's pretty much part of our USP for the gameplay world story experience, is seeing the world of Vampire the Masquerade through the eyes of an elder. And that elder is called Fire. And they are over 400 years old.
We've also got the person who's making fire and the world look really cool. Ben, hi.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my diaries were about, of course, the art style, but one of the big key pillars of our art style is the neo-noir, which I'm sure lots of people are familiar with. But ultimately, it was about how we're taking neo-noir, making it our own, making it fit in with the VTM world and the world of darkness. And so one of those big things was seeing the world through, and now that we've announced Fire and the fact that they're an elder, is seeing the world through the lens of someone, the lens of a vampire being an elder. How does a vampire see the world? And I talk a lot about hot and dangerous, the human world, and the dark and cold, safe vampire world, and that ultimately is how the neo-noir tropes and the cinematography all fits in perfectly with what we're trying to do.
Okay.
It's bigger.
My name is Willy Wonka. I'm something of a magician in chocolate making.
Come on a minute, say, ooh.
It's heightened senses. Like a vampire is a predator. They of course they have a human body, they have a human eyes, everything else. But of course, like a real to a vampire is I can sense everything. I'm a hunter. I'm a predator. I can smell things that humans can't see. Like I said, I'm seeing things through the lens of a vampire. And so, cinema and neo-noir is one of those perfect things that it dials everything up to 11. And that for us, that's something that we're constantly reminding ourselves. So what would it be to see for a vampire? Like how does it reinforce the vampire experience and the vampire fantasy?
One of the people making that vampire fantasy work, Michele.
So in my diary, I tried to explain how the concept team is bringing the Ben and Alex ideas to life. So we have used a lot Unreal in our process, and we got lucky that we had a lot of assets from the 3D art team, and we played with their assets in order to create our scenes. Then we presented our early idea to Ben and Alex to get feedback from them, and that was really fun because they could jump into the scene and move around, and we could get real life feedback from those.
My understanding is that this is a relatively new approach.
Yeah, there aren't many concept artists around that work with Unreal, so they tend to use 3D programs like Blender or Maya, but they lack in terms of lighting, real-time lighting, for my experience. they are not that fast. You have to take in consideration that you are going to have to do a render, so it's going to take time. While in Unreal, you can have lighting pretty much instantly. Whenever you place light, then you have it. You have everything that you need. You can adjust the lighting as you need. And Unreal works very well for us because in our game, we have very moody scenes with a lot of fog, volumetric lighting everywhere. So in Unreal, you just press 2 buttons, you have volumetric lighting, and you can adjust the lighting.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the construction side. I think we might potentially see that in the in some of the clan reveals. I think actually we had a design block out originally, and then Michele took that design block out, and then we spoke about what we wanted it to be. We wanted to have these big, rich, kind of orange tarpaulins over that were casting these big orange lights, like light filtered through orange to create the kind of the orange room to make it rich and vibrant and kind of one of those big neo-noir moments.
Yeah, the usual process was to work on the design block out because that helps the concept team quite a lot in speeding up the process and understanding how the level flow works. Because sometimes you do a concept and the concept is just a static image. But with a level design block out, we had a 360 image. So we had to think the concept in 360 and we had to think and solve all the problems that you have when you move into a space. So not just the static image, but the whole space.
And as Michele says, it's him and several other talented concept artists. Me and Ben will come in and go, right. And it's often that. It's going in with a problem and they create these visual solutions. It's like, how can we have our cake and eat it? So it's super fun part of the process. And I'll have Victor from Paradox on Slack, and I'll be him on the side. We're thinking of doing this. Is this crazy? Will this work? And often the answer is, yeah, go for it. So yeah, it is really fun, sort of working within those rules, but also adding to it. Right, there's lots of things we're answering that no one else has answered before. So we're getting to create the visual archetypes for them.
Especially with our characters and symbols, we had a lot of iterations.
The symbol is one thing that has also had a little more information added to it.
Well, for the symbol, I think took quite a lot of iterations in order to find the right shapes and what we wanted for that. So Jordan, our senior concept artist, he works on this, and we wanted something that was maybe aggressive, but not entirely aggressive, and we wanted something new at the same time. So there were a lot of challenges in that. I think Jordan tackled the symbol very well.
Yeah, there's a vast library of symbols. There's another one of how can we have our cake and eat it? It needs to be recognised in VTM, but none of these existing symbols, please. And I think there's still more, even though in the Halloween announce, we're talking about fire and we're talking about the relationship to the symbol. That symbol is a very important through line of the whole story and the setup and everything that's happening in Seattle.
Right, are you all good for answering some questions from the community? Are the screenshots in the last Dead Diary are Elder's Haven? That's you.
Shall I answer that? Yeah, I mean, I mean, so the short answer is yes. It is. It's not theirs as such. It kind of paints their history. Well, there's a lot of narrative storytelling in that haven, which is what we really want the player to go and look around and explore. And there's little areas of interest that when you're looking at the DPC, the DP can read into what is actually going on in the narrative of the game. So it very much is, our elders.
Nicholas Winding Refn and Nick Miller was listed as influences. This is very poetic. Can we expect a lot of dark, foreboding environments with trashy candy glazed lights permeating our adventure in snowy Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not trashy candy glazed lights, but yes, I mean, that's very much neo-noir. And for me, they fit very much with the kind of Machiavellian underbelly of a city. If you look at someone like Nick Miller's work, you look at it's dark and moody and very much neo-noir. It's the city through a noir lens.
We loved Nick Miller's work in the concept team. We used that a lot for our environment design. So the way he designed the shapes of the buildings whenever he shot photo in the street, that's what we have used as a reference for our exterior environments.
I think Nick Miller stuff's really interesting because it's like he tells a story. The environment becomes a character in itself, and I know that's a bit of trope in terms of kind of narrative storytelling, but it really is. Like our Seattle, is a character in itself. We want the player to feel like they woke up 400 years going, where am I? What is this? And what's this dark, foreboding place I need to play the game in? So. Yeah. Like I said, he's a great reference.
No, that makes sense.
Can someone elaborate more on the intentions of using snow to set a noir mode?
It grounds everything. You can build a place, but ultimately, it might lack character if it hasn't got something that beds it all together. And snow's one of those perfect things. Visually, from a kind of value perspective, that kind of grounds everything together. Everything's got a bit of snow in it to tie it all in and make the city feel real.
Yeah, for the concept we have used whenever we needed to lead the player somewhere. So that's where we added the snow.
The city isn't in its normal state. It's all been shaken up. It's like a powder keg ready to go off. And we wanted also the world to not be in a normal state. So Seattle typically doesn't get a lot of snow. So the snow that it's having is like the worst snowstorm in 100 years, like a freak snowstorm, like New York has had over the last couple of decades. It's had some freak snowstorm. So far is arriving. So it's almost potentially like a portent or an omen that things are going to change in Seattle. Things aren't right in Seattle.
You were talking about visually splitting the dead cold vampire world from the dangerous alive human world. What were some of the challenges you encountered here on the technical and art side?
It's always a fine line between too dark and too bright, and of course, as a video game set at night, one of the things we really need to pay careful attention with is making sure the world was visible. I think it's really easy to, you see nighttime is lack of light. So great, we'll just turn all the lights off. And of course, from a video game perspective, that doesn't work. Technically, and I think I spoke about this in Dev Diary too, we're using a lot of Unreal's volumetrics, which are really, really cool. There's some amazing things you can do with it. But of course, what we're trying to do is very, very specific. A lot of Unreal stuff is mostly about kind of big environmental atmosphere stuff. So kind of Rayleigh scattering and sunlight scattering, because we don't have a sun. A bunch of humans around an entrance to a hotel, that we wanted that small area to feel warm and dangerous, but not anything else. Everything else should be dark and cold and safe, and I'll say that over again.
Cool. Can't wait for more questions. Cheers.
No, that makes sense.
Cheers.
Alright, the World of Darkness. Vampire Masquerade. Masquerade. Bloodlines 2 coming out 2024. I can't wait. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are y'all gonna play it? Because I'll make sure I'm gonna play it. I know it's supposed to be in first person. Hopefully they make it in third person too. If not, I'm still gonna play it. But I'm gonna be playing it on my other channel, London VK Alucard. So make sure y'all subscribe over there and subscribe here. And make sure y'all bite that like button, bite that subscribe button, bite that follow button. I said follow. Bite that share button for your boy one time. Because all we are is in a feeding frenzy for blood. It's been your boy, the Vampire King himself. I want to welcome you to React with Alucard, my new reaction channel. I'll see you for the next reaction. Take care.